Let's go back 2,000 years to the glory days of ancient Rome. You're nonchalantly trolling through the streets, perhaps along Via Appia, enjoying the sights, when suddenly you step ankle-deep into something you really hope is just mud. Welcome to the world of Roman sanitation, where the streets ran thick with human misery and the gods themselves had to get involved just to keep the filth in check. A word before we proceed. In case we have not met, I'm Oxford-educated Dr. Nigel Islington, your host here at Gross History. I will be pronouncing Roman Latin words used in this video, such as Cloacina and Cloaca Maxima, as used by the Etruscans in approximately the year 500 BC. Thus, this may not jibe with how you ironic Roman history hipsters think the words are pronounced. Tough titties, biznatches. And yes, I am aware that I have 6 fingers. This stems from the radioactive effects of the Windscale nuclear incident of 1957 in Cumbria, which we will shortly be doing a video on. Now, may we proceed? Thank you. Today, we're diving head first, preferably while wearing a plague mask, into the history of Cloacina, the Roman goddess of the sewer system, and the Cloaca Maxima, the greatest sewer of the ancient world. This sewer wasn't just a smelly ditch, it was an essential piece of infrastructure, originally designed to carry away stormwater from the Forum and drain marshlands. But as Rome grew, the sewer found itself working overtime, collecting the delightful contents of public baths, latrines, and whatever the Romans decided to toss in. It was basically the ancient world's garbage disposal, except it had no off switch and frequently belched up sewer gas into the streets. But here's where it gets weird. The Romans didn't just see the Cloaca Maxima as a practical necessity, they saw it as sacred. That's right, they worshipped their sewer, and presiding over this divine drainage system, the goddess Cloacina. Because nothing says worthy of veneration, like a deity whose entire job is making sure you don't drown in your own filth. Her name, Cloacina, likely comes from the Latin clore, meaning to wash or purify, which in this case is about as accurate as calling a landfill the garden of fresh scents. Another theory traces her name to cloaca, meaning sewer, which makes her quite possibly the least glamorous goddess in history. Her origins are a bit murky, much like the contents of the Cloaca Maxima itself. Some say she was an Etruscan goddess of purification. Others believe she was once the spirit of a natural stream that ran through the Forum before the Romans had the bright idea to enclose it and turn it into their primary waste chute. You'd think a civilization capable of aqueducts and amphitheaters could have designed their sewers in a straight line, but no, this one twists and meanders all over the place. Why? Religious reasons. Apparently, since the original stream was considered sacred, it was forbidden to alter its course. So instead of rerouting it like sensible engineers, they just built around it and hoped for the best. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder adds an even stranger twist to this mess. He claims that during the Sabine War, Romans and Sabines purified themselves at Cloacina's shrine using sacred myrtle branches and water from the very same stream. Yes, that's right. Warriors cleansed themselves in what would later become the city's main sewer. If true, Cloacina's worship dates back to at least the 8th century BC, making her one of Rome's longest-serving sanitation supervisors. Another origin story, dating to the late 500s BC, claims that when Etruscan craftsmen began covering parts of the Cloaca Maxima, they discovered a statue of a woman lying in the sewer. Naturally, instead of concluding that some poor soul had an unfortunate accident, they decided she was a goddess and started worshipping her. Because that's how religion works, apparently. Over time, Cloacina got a glow-up and became associated with Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. Because, of course, nothing screams romance like raw sewage. The connection actually makes some sense, though. Both goddesses were linked to water's purifying and fertile properties. Roman brides even paid a visit to Cloacina's shrine before their weddings to ensure fertility, though by this point they'd wisely stopped using actual sewer water in the rituals. Speaking of her shrine, archaeologists discovered it in the early 1900s. A tiny, roofless, circular structure, barely 2.4 meters wide, it sat right in the forum, directly above a drain feeding into the Cloaca Maxima. The last person seeking Cloacina's purification probably stepped into her sanctuary over 1,500 years ago, but her sacred stream still flows beneath Rome, carrying away the sins and waste of the eternal city. So, next time you flush, spare a thought for Cloacina, the goddess of sanitation, whose job was to keep Rome from becoming an even bigger cesspit than it already was. Until next time, remember, stay curious, but most of all, stay gross.